I've spent the last week scouring bookish social media, including Bookstagram, Booktube, BookTok, Goodreads, to figure out what the most viral books on the internet are, and on top of that, whether or not I think you should read them. As you all know, the internet is flooded with book recommendations everywhere you look, and figuring out which books you actually want to read, which books are actually aligned with your taste, can be the impossible task these days. And so if your taste is anything like my taste, then this is going to be your guide in figuring out which books are overhyped and which books are not and actually worth picking up at the bookstore. As always, I am going to be covering a huge range of genres today, and the final thing that I did just want to mention at the beginning of this video is I am not going to be diving super deeply into every single book summary. My main focus with this video is sharing the things that I liked about these books and the things that I didn't like about these books, so you guys know whether or not you should pick them up. I really want this to be more of a guide versus a recommendations video specifically. And finally, this is actually part 2 in what is going to be hopefully a many-part series where I talk about tons of viral books and tell you if you should pick them up. And so if you guys are interested in part 1 with a completely different list of viral books, I'm going to link that in the description box down below. But without further ado, let's talk about if these viral books are worth your time. The first book that I have to talk to you guys about today is The Invisible Life of Addie Larue by V.E. Schwab. And this is a book that went viral on the internet years ago, but I was really late to the party and actually read this for the first time last month. And I can't believe it took me so long. This is a big fat yes, please go pick it up. Yes, it's worth your time. This book, I would say, walks the perfect line between contemporary fantasy and historical fantasy. We have two different timelines jumping back and forth, incredible characters, incredible character growth and development. Also, this book is really, really good at keeping you on your toes. And without diving into it too deeply, we're following our main character, Addie, who is cursed, so she can live forever, but people can't remember her. And one day in New York City, 300 years later, after this curse has been bestowed upon her, someone remembers her. This is one of my favorite books that I've read in 2026. So worth it, and you guys should still be yelling at me for not reading this sooner. Book number 2 is Funny Story by Emily Henry. Emily Henry is, dare I say, the queen of romance, rom-coms, BookTok, Bookstagram. Like, she is all over the internet. And I think sometimes that virality can be the reason that people are hesitant to pick up her books. And I'm going to go with another big fat yes on are Emily Henry books worth it in general. She is, along with V.E. Schwab, we're starting out so strong in this video, one of my favorite authors of all time. Particularly her book Happy Place is my favorite, but Funny Story is probably a close second or third for me. I love the story, and I found it to be a very unique rom-com, unlike any other rom-com that I have read before, because we're following our two main characters who are on the heels of breakups. They have both been dumped, but the trick here is that their exes left them for each other. So they're like, what are we going to do? Where are we going to go? So they end up, for purely practical reasons, being roommates because their exes left them for each other. It's hilarious. Miles also feels like a main character in this book that I have never read before. And there's something about books with genres and tropes that are used all of the time, but done in a very different way that I really, really appreciate. And so this book felt fresh, it felt new, it felt fun, and absolutely adorable. Refreshing. I love this book. Number 3 is The Bodyguard by Catherine Center. And this one, I'm honestly gonna give you a maybe. This is worth it depending on who you are and what you like in a book. I really appreciate this book because this romance sort of does a twist. You guys will notice I love things that are a little bit unconventional, a little bit not standard. And this book is fun because it is a bodyguard romance, but the female main character is the bodyguard for our male main character. And I just love taking a common trope and, as I said, twisting it on its head, flipping it around. It's super silly. It's super fun. Quite honestly, I was a little bit bored. This book is a little bit slow. There's also no spice in this book, so take that or leave it depending on your taste. I just didn't feel super emotionally invested in this story, and the characters honestly sort of felt like caricatures versus real people. That's something that I struggle with often in romance books specifically. And so if you're looking for a light, fun, happy, low stakes romance with not a ton of like emotional impact, I would say yes, go for it. So fun for the summer. However, if you're someone who likes a lot more layers, a lot more complexity in your story, I would maybe say no, don't pick this one up. But that is a personal preference. Number 4 is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and it's so funny. I thought I talked about this book in part 1 of this series. I literally wrote it in my list, and somehow I accidentally skipped over it. And this one, I'm gonna go, yes, it is 1000% worth your time. In this story, we're following our female main character, Joan Goodwin, who is among the first women to be selected to be astronauts and go to outer space. And we're watching her navigate basically being one of the first women on this journey, all of the challenges that come along with it, and then also a lot of like self-discovery and finding love throughout this journey. But we know that like there's some sort of tragedy or accident or chaotic thing happening, because right at the start of our book, we just know that, like, I'm not going to say what it is, but something is going wrong. And so you're going back and forth between two timelines where you're really like calmly essentially following Joan along this journey to becoming an astronaut, while knowing that in a future timeline, chaos is ensuing. And it was really, really good for my like emotional investment in the story. And I just loved Joan. Like, she's so sweet and so adorable, and she just persevered over and over and over again. And so if you guys are looking for a book with a strong female character, if you're looking for historical fiction, if you're looking for addictive fiction, I'm gonna say yes, please pick this one up. So much better than it sounds. I love this book. Number 5 is Don't Let Him In by Lisa Jewell. This is a thriller book, and I'm gonna say this one is either maybe worth your time or not worth your time. Please know and please keep in mind that I'm not a huge thriller fan. I cannot say that that is my favorite genre. My holy trinity is romance, fiction, and fantasy. Those are my favorites. Everything else kind of exists in the background. However, if you like thrillers and you're not looking for one that's very satisfying, that's very plot twisty, you're just looking for a good time, yeah, I would say go for it. I would say pick this one up. The reason that I lean towards no on this book is because Lisa Jewell as a thriller author is not known for her crazy plot twists or the like psychological elements isn't the right word, but she does a really good job foreshadowing and setting things up so you can kind of figure things out along the way. Like, she almost wants you to connect the dots. Whereas for me, the thrillers that I do like are very like twisty, and they have really incredible plot twists and jaw-dropping moments. And because this book wasn't really like that, I just wasn't super obsessed with it. Not a bad book, just not my personal type of thriller. So I'm going to say maybe to no, depending on what you like. This may be one of the most viral books that I am talking about in this video, and that is The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna. This book is famous for being beautiful, but also destroying its readers, cracking our hearts in two, shattering them to pieces. And if you know me, you know that I love getting my heart broken in books specifically. Don't know why, but it is my favorite thing. I love a book that makes me cry because it shows me how much I became invested in the story and the characters over time, and this book is no exception. This is a historical fiction World War II book following two sisters living in two different parts of France. They're very different from each other. This is another book following two very strong female characters. I think it did a really wonderful job exploring the World War II time period and showing how little people really knew about the war as it was starting and as it was happening. This was absolutely devastating, and I would honestly say that even if you're not really into historical fiction or really like thick, long books, to at least give the audiobook a try. And then if you're liking the audiobook, maybe go ahead and pick up the physical. Love this book, so worth your time. And I really, really do recommend people pick this up if you're trying to branch out into historical fiction. Heartbreaking, but so worth it, guys. So worth it. The next book that I have to talk about is Small Things Like These by Claire Keegan. And the last time that I talked about this book, I got shredded to pieces on the internet, and it's because I don't think this book is worth your time literally at all. This is a hot take of mine in this video. Most people, honestly, if you have similar taste to me, maybe you'll feel differently about this book. I'm not sure. This book is a great one to pick up during the holiday season. It takes place, I want to say, in the Irish countryside during like the Christmas season. And I would say that what this book went viral for is being able to pack such a big punch in so few pages. But I felt nothing. I disliked the male main character in this story. Is this a novella? I'm not sure. It's truly a very short book. And I I read this book with my book club, and quite honestly, most of us did not like it. For those that did, they said that they really loved the message that was being portrayed. I just felt like it was portrayed very badly. It's all about like giving back and, contributing to your community during the holiday season. I just like did not think it was done well. I don't like speaking like super poorly on books. This is just a story and a message that I did not connect with literally at all. It was one of my least favorite books of 2025, but it's very popular. And just know throughout this whole video, if there are books that I do not like, they're in this video because so many people do like them. So bear that in mind. I did not enjoy small things like these. Maybe you will. If your taste is anything like mine, you probably won't. Number 8 is Not Quite Dead Yet by Holly Jackson. This is a thriller novel by Holly Jackson, and it was either her first adult novel or one of her first adult novels. And I'll tell you first the things that I like about this book. In this story, our FMC it opens with a very like tragic accident that happens to her, and she learns that she is only going to live the next 7 days. And so the thing that I loved is that she's like, okay, well, that means I have 7 days to try and solve my own murder, because it becomes very clear very quickly that someone tried to kill her. And so we're following her as she investigates her own murder trial. And I honestly love that concept. However, I really, really, really didn't like this book as it went along, because there were so many loose ends and there were so many choices that our female main character made that made absolutely no sense. Again, for me in a thriller, I'm like, I want to just at least think the main character is intelligent, think they're smart, think they have things going for them. But when you write a thriller where the main character is literally stupid and like, I'm so sorry, not being communicative of very important things to other characters, especially when they're gonna die in 7 days, I don't like that. And I also didn't love how obsessive the writing was about the 7-day concept, because in real life, you don't know if you have exactly 7 days left to live. Like, the sort of medical diagnosis that she has should be a lot more vague how much time she has. But it's like, oh, I have exactly like 5 days and 16 hours left, or I have 4 days left. I'm like, we don't know how long you actually have before your body kind of takes over. Anyway, I could go off on a tangent. This book is very entertaining though, and so if you're just looking for a quick, fun page turner, admittedly, I could not put this book down. I just had so many issues with it as I went along. That's why I'm going to give it a maybe. Some people really love this book. I didn't. Do with that what you will, This is another extremely viral book that I have seen going around the internet for maybe like the last year. I've seen it really take off, and that is the Dungeon Crawler Carl series. People are obsessed with these books. You see them literally everywhere. At Barnes & Noble, they have an entire freaking shelf, or end cap. I see them literally all over the place. And so I was like, I need to read at least the first book in this. Is it like an 8-book series? The next book is coming out soon, if it hasn't come out already. I was like, I gotta get my hands on this and see what the hype is, because when you hear about it, it kind of sounds like a fever dream. And to that, I would tell you, it is a fever dream. That's exactly what this book is. Like, I don't know how the author wasn't on, like, can I say on the internet? Like on some stuff to write this book. It just kind of feels like that, because we have our main character Carl just kind of living his normal life when all of a sudden the earth kind of just disappears. It gets like all of the buildings get sucked underground, and he learns that his survival is about to be televised to a bunch of aliens all across the galaxy. And so his survival is like gamified essentially. So he's like trying to survive and like collect loot, and there's all these like kind of magical potions and magical creatures and aliens and like all of that kind of stuff. And again, it's literally televised to outer space, and it is quite an experience. But I have to tell you guys, I really enjoyed the first book. I'm planning on continuing the series as it stands right now. There just isn't a ton of plot. Like, I could see each book sort of bleeding into the next. And so that's kind of been my only hesitance, is I don't quite understand how there's like a greater picture tying all of the books together, because even in just the first book, it feels kind of just like a random amalgamation of different little vignettes where Carl has to survive in a sort of hilarious way. That I feel could be a turnoff to some people, but it's very fun, very entertaining. And I've heard the audiobook is fantastic if you're sort of on the edge of your seat about this one. If you're not sure what to do, that's how I tend to approach things, is if I'm not sure about the book, I listen to the audiobook first. And then if I'm liking it, I'll switch over. So yeah, absolutely. This one was so fun. Solid, like 4-star read for me. Next up, we have The Favorites by Lane Fargo. And I loved this book. When this one was going around last year, my book club ended up voting for it, and I'm so glad that we read this one all together because, first of all, I got to read this during the Winter Olympics, which was just the best experience, so it really added to the book. In terms of if I think you guys should read it, this was like a very high 4-star book for me, but I'm actually going to go with maybe for this one because I think it's marketed as a romance, but I don't think that's what this is. I would say it's more of a drama than a romance because we're looking at a very toxic dynamic between two Olympic skaters. They do ice dance together and they have a very hot and cold, up and down sort of relationship, a codependent relationship. And so if you go into this book expecting things to go well, like you've picked it up with the wrong expectations, obviously. And so I personally love it when characters have a lot of issues, when they kind of make bad choices, but you understand where those choices are coming from. And I just felt like the level of depth we got from each of our main characters, Heath and Katerina, like we went so deep into who they are, but there were some choices at the end that I didn't feel like were perfectly aligned with who we were taught that the characters are, if that makes sense. Like I was like, why are they making these choices? The characters that I know wouldn't make those choices. And so it just like as the book goes along, it gets messier and crazier. And so if you love like a messy book, that's like literally, if that was a genre, messy books, that would be like my literal favorite thing ever. Then yeah, please, I urge you, go pick this up. I loved it. But if you do not like that genre, like beautiful writing, stunning, loved it. But if you do not like mess and things that are just kind of not perfect, don't even try with this one. Number 12 is Flawless by Elsie Silver. And I say flawless, but this book actually represents the entire Chestnut Springs series. This series is maybe what gave cowboy romances like the stage that they sit on today. Like these books walked so other cowboy romances could run, if you know what I'm saying. This is a 5-book small town cowboy romance series where you're following romances of different guys, and they're all again sort of in this like cowboy world. So one of them is a bull rider like at the rodeo, another one is gosh, it's been so long since I've read these books. Another one like manages a farm. Like there's just so many like different little things, but they're all basically cowboys, and it's found family and like actual family. And these books are, again, this one's gonna be another maybe because I really think it depends on who you are. These books are so sexy, they're so smutty, and be aware that they get spicier as you go. So I would say maybe average spice rating for this, like a 4 out of 5, but like, and I don't read like a ton of spice just in general. They get pretty spicy, okay? And so if that's not your thing, if you're more of a closed door intellectual girl, these are not for you. But if you love just like a fun, low stakes, not a lot of brain power, fun, silly romance that's gonna make you laugh and have a good time, I do recommend this book. And personally, I love the cowboy aesthetic. Like I love all things Western, Texas, cowboy, country music, barn, horse, like that stuff. I love it. So I personally really enjoyed these books for purely a good time. But if that's not your thing, then yeah, don't pick these up. Potentially switching gears as drastically as I possibly could. Next, we have The Bee Sting by Paul Murray. I saw quite a few creators read this book who are so big on the internet, like literally hundreds of thousands, millions of followers who absolutely loved this book, and I did not. I don't think this book is worth your time, particularly for the ending. This is approximately 645 pages long, which, I mean, if we're being logistical here, if we're being smart, that's a lot of time to give to a book. And when it ends the way that it did, I'm like, why the freak did I just spend 600 pages of my reading lifespan reading this if you're just going to end it all like that? I despised the ending of this book. This is like definitely a character study where we're watching a family navigate their financials sort of fall apart. Like they fall into financial ruin, and we look at how they got there, but also how each member of the family is handling this very differently. And so I appreciate like the character study elements of this. I felt like each character was very well fleshed out. We really had a good sense for who each person was. But for how long this book was, I really lacked that like emotional investment where I cared a lot about their outcome and like what happened to them. And as I said before, I despised the ending. So do with that what you will. I am not personally a bee sting fan. So remember before when I was like, oh, my favorite book genre is messy books. That really comes to a head in The Conditions of Will by Jessa Hastings. I love this book. This is a 5-star book for me. One of my favorite books that I've ever read on the entire planet. But with that said, I understand that that's not everybody's thing. That is not everyone's favorite genre. And it drives me crazy that once again, this is rated or categorized as a romance because it's really not. Like it's a romance. I feel like it guarantees that it's going to be happy and fun. The ending for everyone ends well. But like this book and The Favorites and like other books by these authors, like they don't go that way. They don't really follow the normal romance plot structure. And I absolutely eat that up personally. And this book too, we follow a really unique main character. Her name is Georgia, and her profession is like face reading. Like she's a professional face interpreter. Like she can really tell how people express their feelings and like through their emotions, like through their facial expressions can tell what they're thinking and what they're feeling. And she's very like obsessive about it. Like the way that you see the world through her mind is unlike anything I've ever read before. And I loved that. There is a romance in this book, but again, I was like, it's a romance book, but it's messy. It's not fun. There's a lot of family drama. People are not nice to each other. There's characters you hate, but then that hate fuels the love for the characters that you do appreciate. And so yeah, this is one of my absolute favorite books of all time. I do recommend it. Absolutely loved it. Absolutely loved it. I'm going to leave you with that. Number 16 is Sunrise on the Reaping by Suzanne Collins. And I'll probably get flamed for this too. I'm going to say maybe for this one purely because if you're a Hunger Games fan, if you love the original 3 books, this is 1,000% worth your time. Please go pick it up. If you're unfamiliar, this is Haymitch's backstory in the Hunger Games series. And so we know from reading the Hunger Games that Haymitch won his Hunger Games. And so if you're ever like curious or interested in that, then yeah, absolutely. I think you should pick up this book. But if you're not like a diehard Hunger Games fan, I really just like don't think it's worth your time. I have not read The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I haven't seen the movie. Don't really care. I'm not gonna. Like, I just don't care. And I read this book literally only for book club. All of the girlies in my book club were obsessed with this book. They're obsessed with the Hunger Games. There's like 10 of us. They're obsessed. And literally, I want to say every single person there rated it like a 4.5 to 5-star read, but it's because they love the Hunger Games. I don't. I'm not a Hunger Games fan. Like, I read them, but they didn't really stick with me. I think I rated this like a 2-star, and the 2 stars were because of how like addicting and fun it was. So like my dividing line is like, if you like the Hunger Games, yes. If you don't like the Hunger Games, no. And that's why it's getting a maybe. You guys should see. I'm trying to like take myself outside of myself, see both sides. So yeah, maybe this is like a yes, no, or maybe video versus like a is it worth it or not? Number 17 is A Throne of Glass. How could I make this video and not talk about the Throne of Glass series? I don't even think I've talked about like ACOTAR or Crescent City in this series yet. I'll talk about those another day when I make the next part in this series. But I absolutely think that the Throne of Glass series is worth your time. I do think though this is not a good place to start within the fantasy genre because this series is huge. It's like 8 books long. The last books in the series are so long. Like the last one is quite literally 1,000 pages. Like I think it's 996 pages or something insane like that. Oh God, the clouds. The weather's been crazy here lately, guys. The clouds are so in and out. So if the lighting is changing a lot, I'm so sorry. Yeah, these are so fun, but I really think they're only like really good if you're already sort of a fantasy girl. I think if you haven't started your fantasy journey yet, maybe don't pick these books up. This story follows our female main character, Selena, who is the best assassin in the world. And she ends up getting recruited by the prince to sort of fight for him in this like competition of assassins to then be the king's assassin. It's like whoever wins this big competition gets to be the personal assassin for the king. But even just like saying that, I'm like, oh no, there's so much more to it. And it like the world grows so much and expands so much, and there's so much magic that sort of percolates throughout the story that you don't even really see much of in this book. And I love these. I love the characters. I love Selena. She's such a badass. Like if you like a badass main character, go for it. And this is again one of the most viral books that I'm going to talk about today. I love them. They're so good. I've read this book twice. Literally so good. Back to the romance genre, we now have Bringing Down the Duke by Evie Dunmore. I thought I was going to love this book. I really thought that I was going to love this book. If you know me, I love Bridgerton. I love not the books, the film, the shows. I love Bridgerton shows. I love everything Regency. I love just that whole vibe and that whole aesthetic. So I was like, oh, a fun historical romance. This is going to be epic. But I hated the main male character in this book. I was like, how can I root for my female main character to get with him if I disliked the man in this book so much, to the point where I was like, I am not continuing this series. Like that's how much I disliked the MMC in this book. Oh God, he was so I'm not a huge Grumpy Sunshine fan. It can be done right, but like that's not my favorite. And he was just so grumpy to the point where I'm like, oh my God, you're hopeless. And no, this one, I don't even have that much to say about it. People love these. I was not people. Number 19 is Lovelight Farms by B.K. Borison. And this is another book that I was just so shocked that I didn't like. I would say that B.K. Borison is killing it right now. She has some new books out in a new series that I feel like people are absolutely loving. But before those books, I don't remember what they're called. First time caller, I'll put it on the screen. She's got some fun books out that people are loving. But if you go back to where it all started, that would be Lovelight Farms, which is the first book in her, it's like a seasonal romance series. So she has one book for each season of the year. This one's very like festive, holiday-ish. I didn't like it. It is not worth your time. It felt like reading a kid's YA romance book with spice in it. And if that doesn't turn you away, I don't know what will. Like when I was reading it, it felt like the characters were 12. 13, and then there was like spice in it, and I was like, what are we doing? Like I did not like this book at all. That said, this is her earlier work, so maybe her other books have improved. I just had such a bad time with this one that I haven't gotten over it, and I haven't been able to continue my BK Borison journey. So if you guys like some of her other books, I would love to hear that from you, especially if maybe you didn't like Lovelight Farms, because at this point I'm like, no, absolutely not worth your time. Don't pick it up. But like maybe some of her newer books are better. Maybe they're better, and I hope that they are. Don't pick this one up. I feel like I'm on a little bit of a rampage right now because for some reason in my little list of books, a lot of books that I don't think are worth your time are all sandwiched right next to each other. But the next book that I have to talk to you guys about is maybe my least favorite book that I've read in this particular video, this batch of books, and that is The Pumpkin Spice Cafe by Laurie Gilmore. Guys, my mom bought me this book for fall. She knows I love fall reads and like cozy fall things. And so she was like, oh my gosh, I saw this book at the bookstore. She doesn't like read really at all, doesn't know much about books. And so she's like, I saw the cutest little book at the bookstore. Like it had the sweetest little fall cover. And I just thought you needed to have this. And I was like, Mom, you're so sweet. That's so nice of you. Actually, how did you know this book is really popular right now? Like people are loving it. I still haven't told her that I couldn't stand this book. I feel terrible because it was so nice of her to get it for me, but I despised the book itself. The sentences in this romance book were like 3 words long. I like a little bit flowery, not too flowery, but like a little bit flowery, beautiful, descriptive, like really set the scene for me, build the tension, set the vibes. But this was just so plainly like a take on like the Gilmore Girls town, to the point where like the characters had no personality. It was so surface level and so completely ridiculous. Again, I need more layers. I need a little bit more woven into it, and this book just didn't really deliver on that. And I cannot believe to this day that I finished it. I think I read it in a reading vlog, which is maybe why I finished it. I did like a cozy fall reading vlog, which was actually so fun. I urge you, when those pumpkin spice lattes start coming out, do not read this book with them. I can give you some good recs that are not this one. Not worth your time. Do not let that cute cover fool you. Okay, this is my last book where I'm going to be a little bit of a hater for a little while. Then I'm going to go back to liking a lot of these viral books. But the next book that I have to talk about is another one I really was shocked that I didn't like, and that is Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. You all heard it here first. I love a spicy, sexy little cowboy romance book here and there, right? Sprinkle them in between my books that are like shattering my heart into 100 pieces. I like that. I really do. So I thought for sure that I was going to pick up Done and Dusted by Lila Sage and have a cute, good time. But I didn't. I really didn't. And to this day, I'm really deeply disappointed about it because look at that cover. Like, it's so cute. It's so cute. But again, don't let that fool you. Like this is another one where it was written like this. She said hi. He did X. Then she smiled. Like, there was no personality in this book. It definitely went really quickly. People absolutely love it. It's super fast paced, really fun. And like, if that's your thing, that's your thing. But this one particularly, I didn't have grievances as much with like the story or the plot that I remember. It was really just like the writing and I were not meshing. As I'm sure you all have experienced, like if you don't connect with the writing, you can't really blame like the characters or the plot or the story. Like you just can't get past it. And that is how I felt about this book. And again, I'm really sad about it because I just thought I would have loved it, but I didn't. And all of the series, all of the covers are so cute, but I don't think this one is worth your time. We're now in the up and up. I think most of the rest of the books were very positive for me. The next book that I have to talk to you guys about is Demon Copperhead by Barbara Kingsolver. If Barbara Kingsolver isn't on your guys' radar, what are you doing? You're scrolling on the wrong side of TikTok because this book is so incredible. This is a David Copperfield retelling. And before anybody asks, you do not need to read David Copperfield before reading this book. I think you'll definitely take more away from it if you have read David Copperfield because you'll see a lot of comparisons between the two. Admittedly, I have started David Copperfield but did not finish it. It is a very dense piece of literature, and at the time that I tried to read it, I just sort of wasn't in that headspace, and so I did decide to just kind of go into this one. My original hope and intent was to read that first, but I was like, no, I'm just gonna read it. And this book is so good. You're taking a close look at poverty in Southern Appalachia, and our main character is like a young boy named Damon, but everyone calls him Demon, and he's just over and over again subject to all of these different horrible things, and like you forget how young he is and how strong he is because of his perseverance and his ability to get through them, and you just like root for Damon the whole entire time. Like I was in his corner just like hoping that things really worked out for him, and I loved this book. It's truly a masterclass on just like creating characters that you love despite so many horrible things happening to them. I love this book. This definitely had its day in the sun a while ago. People absolutely love this book, and I'm one of them. This was exceptional. So good. The next book is a thriller that I actually really enjoyed, and I do think that this one is 1000% worth your time, and that book is The Girl on the Train by, I think, Paula Hawkins is the author of this one. This is one of the first thrillers that I read. It kind of got me into the thriller genre, if you will. And ever since I read it, it has stuck with me. I love, again, just like a character who's complicated. And in this book, we have our female main character, and right off the bat, you kind of just know that something's up with her. Like, she takes the train into work in London I think it's London, somewhere in the UK, into work every single day, and she's like obsessive about this one house that she passes by on her train ride every single day, and she kind of creates a story in her mind for this couple that lives in the house. And one day something happens in the house that doesn't, like, she observes it on the train and it doesn't align with like what she thinks she knows about this family already, and she like inserts herself in something that she is in no way connected to. I really enjoyed this book. It's like eerie but not too dark, good psychological elements to it, and I didn't think our main character was like dumb. I just was like, she's got some problems. I was like, something is not quite right in there, but like that's kind of what made me keep going. Like I can't, when there's a thriller where the main character isn't super trustworthy, I actually really do like that, because you're trying to decide for yourself what to believe and what not to. And this was that kind of thriller. And so I think this is so worth it. From the archives, like this one was around years ago, but I wanted to bring it back on your radar because I think it's worth it, 100%. Number 24 is Dune by Frank Herbert. And I was hesitant to include this book in this series because I feel like this is sort of a viral 21st century book while also being a classic. I really do think this book has survived the test of time, and many people would argue that it is like a iconic sci-fi classic. And so I'm like, like, does that really fit into this video because of how popular and viral it is while also being a classic? And I ultimately decided, yes, it does deserve a spot in this video. And for this one, I'm going to go with maybe leaning towards yes. This is a 6-book series, and I have only read the first one, and I do not intend to continue the series. I enjoyed the first book. I will say this is one of the most confusing and complicated books that I have ever picked up in my entire life. It feels like it's written in a different language because it kind of is written in a different language. There is an entire sort of like dictionary at the end of this book that you as the reader are expected to flip back and forth between to kind of understand what's being spoken about, because Frank Herbert, the author, really just shoves you into this sci-fi world. And I honestly didn't really feel like the payoff of like understanding what was happening was worth it. Like I struggled so much throughout so many pages of this book where I was just confused that once I really did understand what was happening, I just didn't think it was quite worth it. That said, this book is so iconic. And if you like the sci-fi genre, I really feel like this book is valuable in understanding what the sci-fi genre has become today. And so I'm glad that I read it. I do not regret it, but I didn't really enjoy my time reading it. So that's why I'm like, maybe overall it's a great book. So many people love it. So I'm going to say yes for this video. But I had mixed feelings about it when I was reading it. Continuing with sci-fi, number 25 is The Martian by Andy Weir. And this is my personal favorite book by Andy Weir. I loved this. And so you can probably tell that I absolutely do think that this one is worth it. More recently, Project Hail Mary by the same author has been very, very popular due to the movie coming out. And I did talk about that in my last video, if you guys are interested in my thoughts on that one. But I will tell you right now that The Martian is my favorite. I rated this book 5 stars. Absolutely think it's worth it, particularly if you're not a huge sci-fi fan. Before I picked up this book, I don't know if I'd ever read a sci-fi book before, and this story sort of opened my eyes to the possibility that I could really enjoy books in the sci-fi genre. I absolutely loved it, particularly because we're following a very intelligent main character who is making light of a very scary situation. Like he is in outer space on Mars, needs to survive alone for reasons that I won't say. And somehow he is so funny and so entertaining, and like you just love reading about him and his story. And I was like laughing and smiling in like reading it before bed. And it's like, how does such an intense book and setting, like how do you have that and then the execution is like me like kicking my feet, like laughing in bed at like what? Like it just, I thought it was done so well. And I honestly, this one needs to come back on everybody's radar. Like bring The Martian back, because this book is so good. And I definitely think it's worth all of the hype that it got whenever it was like having its day in the sun. Guys, I keep skipping books. I like have 2 more books sitting next to me and I literally skipped one. Final 2 books. The next book that I have to talk about that I literally skipped earlier, who knows what else I skipped, is Out on a Limb by Hannah Bonham Young. This book is so good, so fun, and again, a romance that I think is different than probably a lot of the other rom-coms that you guys have read before. We're following 2 main characters who deal with different disabilities, I would say. And so there's a lot of disability representation in this book and how each of our two main characters are dealing with that, and also how that challenge kind of brings them together. And something else that I really love about this book is the physical disability that our female main character has in this book. I believe Hannah Bonham Young has the same thing or something similar, and so she's writing from a very valuable perspective, being that she knows what it's like to live with this challenge. Again, I'm not saying what it is because I don't know, I think it's kind of more fun to read the book and figure that out for yourself. And I just found the characters so sweet and so cute. I will say this book is accidental pregnancy, which a lot of people do not like, but I'm gonna say this now. This is accidental pregnancy, but right at the beginning of the book. So like, I don't like accidental pregnancy when you make it 200 pages and then they get pregnant, because I'm like, oh my God, well now they have to like figure their whatever out. They like don't really know each other. It's like a one night stand. And so the romance happens throughout them realizing that our female main character is pregnant. I forget her name, Wynn, that she's pregnant. And I thought that was done really, really well here. And finally, assuming I haven't skipped any other books, the final book that I have to talk to you guys about today is The Unhoneymooners by Christina Lauren. Christina Lauren are TikTok legends. People are obsessed with their books, and I'm one of them. I'm a huge Christina Lauren fan. I can't say I haven't loved all of their books. Like they're not 100% 5-star out of the park home runs for me, but this one was really fun. This is really fun and silly because our two main characters are the only people at a wedding who don't get food poisoning. And because of that, they end up going on the honeymoon instead of the main couple getting married because they got food poisoning too. They like hate each other, the two main characters that are going on this honeymoon, but they have to like fake that they're like married and in love to get the honeymoon. And it's such a good, fun, summery read. Like if you guys happen to be watching this video around when it comes out, this is such a fun one to pick up during this time of year because it's so tropical. It's on an island, it's a honeymoon, there's fake dating. Like it's just your classic rom-com, and I had such a good time reading this one. So I'm going to go with a big fat yes. Okay, besties, those were a ton of other books that are viral on the internet from BookTok, BookTube, Bookstagram, TikTok, all of this stuff, Goodreads, that I hopefully gave some good opinions, some controversial opinions for sure. And if you guys want a part 3, please let me know. My heart just absolutely exploded hearing how much you guys loved the first video in this series. And so I would really love to keep making these because I have so many books that I could talk about for it. So if you're interested in that, please do let me know down below. And if you made it all the way here, comment down below a pink flower, maybe like the pink tropical flower for the Unhoneymooners, so I know who the true besties are. Also, I'm going to go ahead and link my mail club in the description box down below if anyone is interested in becoming a cozy reader and receiving a bookish letter and just like bookish correspondence from me in the mail. It's so much fun. I think that's all. I hope you guys are having the absolute best day and the absolute best reading month, and I will see you Saturday for my next bookish upload. Bye!